good. Well, I am excited to talk to you because you just did something amazing. So congratulations on passing the PMP. How did it go?
It went pretty good. You know, I think I honestly believe that without your simulated questions and like going through the accelerator program, I don't think I would have passed. Like your questions helped me prepare for answering the PMP questions in a much different way than what I'd previously been doing. So thank you so much because it definitely helped a lot.
That's awesome. Well, that's cool. So we haven't known each other that long, which is cool. But you're where you needed to be. So that's good. So talk me through a little bit about kind of your evolution of like what you did before, how once you started this accelerator and how quickly you got to like where you are right now. Talk me through that, please.
Sure. So my company had paid for another program, a crash course for PMP prep, and we took that in March. And honestly, at the end of those 4 days, I felt overwhelmed. I mean, this is what I do. I'm a project manager, and it just seemed like there was no sense to it. There was no rhyme or reason. It was just all, well, here's all the data and here's all the information. You got to memorize this and you got to do this and memorize that and make sure you know this backwards and forwards and upside down because you're going to probably be asked about to write the definition. You know, kind of it was all weird. And studied, took a couple practice exams, was getting consistently the same score every single time. And that's when I was just like, I have my exam coming. I was frustrated, and I had listened to your podcast for a little bit. Mm-hmm. And so reached out to you just kind of through the website, was just like, I need to do something different. Like, this is not working for me. And 3.5 weeks from my exam, you and I started talking, put me through the accelerated program, finished that in about, so 7 days. I took I'd say about 9 days to finish all the videos and everything because I'm working full time and everything. And it started clicking. Like my score drastically changed, and I was like, oh, this makes sense. Like it was literally those process flows. Oh my goodness, my brain is like all over the place. But it was logically thinking through it that helped make the difference for me. It wasn't memorization. It was, you just need to put it through this process flow, and you need to think about it logically. And when you start thinking about it logically, that's when you can start pulling things out. And the coaching classes helped, and the classes that we did with you where we were answering questions also helped, because you're hearing from everybody, and everybody's giving their input as to why they think one answer might be a reason versus another. And it was really good to learn from those communications and from people just on the chat rooms and things like that, just to be like, hey, I'm struggling with this. How would you understand it? And it all helped. It honestly did. I think my proctor must have, like, I never actually talked to my proctor. That was the crazy thing. Like, my exam started, no hello, no nothing. I didn't say a word because I was like, I don't want you to like freeze my exam by talking. So like, I sat there the whole like time, did my break, and then sat again and finished it. And I bet you my proctor thought like I hadn't gotten a good result, because I was just like, oh. And then I'm like trying to like print the page, and then I like was like, oh, it's still recording. Like, get out of this. Because I was like, I can't make a noise. Like, I don't want to.
Yeah. That is awesome. That is awesome. Well, you did so well. I mean, you were ready earlier than that, whether you believed it or not. We tried to tell you that, but it's good. So cool. So you work regular projects now. Were there specific areas in there that you were like, oh, I see better and I know how I can apply this at my job now? Or is there anything there that that will radiate back to like the way you do your job?
Yeah. So actually one of the things that really helped me was going through your process on stakeholder management, because I was just given the opportunity a week and a half ago to take on a client myself. Like, there's no senior project manager. I'm actually going to be in that role. Nice. In my current position. So they're kind of just trying to like test the waters out. And I asked for the opportunity. They said, sure, let's go for it. And this client actually was somebody who we'd had 2 years ago, and they were rather difficult.
Okay, that
And I was
happens.
the project manager on that study 2 years ago. So now being in the role of like the lead project manager for this study, going into it, I think I have a better frame of mind of how I'm going to manage the stakeholders, how I'm going to manage their expectations, and how I'm going to look at the risks and be able to put into place some of those risk responses that we need to address a lot earlier than we had been previously. So I think it's going to really help. And I think that the new mindset is going to create a better atmosphere between and a relationship between this client and my company.
Oh man, that sounds good. I think you're going to do great. I know you're going to do great already. What do you think some of the mistakes that people make as they prepare for this PMP, or some of the things that they've been told that you might say, nah, I just don't believe that anymore?
Memorizing. I'll be honest with you. The one thing that I am glad I did, because it surprisingly, I got a lot of math questions.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I actually, I'd already studied and kind of knew all the formulas going into it. So when I started getting those questions, I was like, oh, I know this. Oh, I know this. I know how to like figure this out. So that was really good. So I would still say like focus on those when you're studying for the PMP. Because a lot of people say, oh, don't focus on those because you're only going to get like one. I actually got quite a bit. So, which funny enough, I actually was hoping for too. So
yeah, no doubt. I wish the whole thing was math or EVM questions.
It's really heavy.
Yeah.
But I think one of the other things too is just trusting yourself. Like I think a lot of people just get into this mindset of like, if I'm not passing with a score of X, I'm not ready. And that's a good thing to have. Like I was making sure I was definitely like feeling confident about where I was at, and like reviewing my evaporating data dump and reviewing like the questions that I was getting wrong and things like that. But I kind of just had to come to a point, and it was funny enough, like my husband, even this morning, he's like, man, you're like cool and calm and collected. I was like, yeah, like settled the demons with myself and like just going into it. And I felt confident for whatever reason. I know what it was, but yeah, just have confidence in yourself, knowing that you know the material, knowing that you know the process, because at the end of the day, it is logical. What we're going through is a logical process. And so if we can think about it logically and kind of break down where we are, what we're doing, and what we need to do next, we're going to be able to figure out a little bit more of those like situational questions that we're given.
That's awesome. That's really good. I couldn't said it better myself. So that's really, really good. Now, you went to coaching calls. Who was your individual coach? Who'd you go with that on that?
That was Kelly.
Oh, good.
Just passed the PMP the day I pretty much started your course. So it was like kind of crazy, like that I got to be with on her team. And what was really awesome too was Kelly had like a couple people that were consistently on the calls, but then she had a new person join like once or twice throughout. And last night's call, I actually attended last night's call.
Okay.
So I was like, hey, I did my evaporating data dump. I didn't like do any, that's the other thing too. Don't do any quizzes or questions the day before your exam. Just review your evaporating data dump and just go with it. Like, just know that you know it. So that was a little hard for me to like not do, but I was like, all right, my brain's going to go overboard if I try. But I did join Kelly's call the night before, last night, just to make sure that like, I just team morale more than anything.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, that's cool.
Popped up a little bit.
Yeah.
And there was a new person that had just joined. She had just started the program, and she was talking through. She had actually already taken the exam and was going through the process again. And it was really nice to just have that interaction. The people that I was talking with, a couple of them had already taken the exam before, and so they were, pinpointing where they were struggling and what had made their process a little better going through your program. So it was just nice to have that like confidence booster, I guess, because you have other people who are in it with you.
Yeah.
You know what you're going through, and you know what they're going through. And it was just really nice to have that aspect in the individual coach, like the team coaching, I guess you would say.
Yeah. I think that's the coolest part. And like Kelly, She had been in like not in the accelerator initially, then she got into the accelerator stuff and she had done so well. And she Rachel or whatever. I think you know Rachel. You seen Rachel. Rachel was a student and then became a coach, and now she's coach.
Yep.
She's blossomed like all these people, and it's like Kelly became a coach, and then the next day, she's teaching you, and then hell, if you want to be a coach, you can be a coach. I'm gonna have more coaches than I have going to be whatever, and so that community aspect, I think, it's something that I don't know how it happened, but it's happening now. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people go into this feeling like they're all alone.
Right.
Like, I honestly, like I sat in a room for 4 days at my company with 10 or 12 other people who were going through the process.
Yep.
And I'm of the opinion, like, let's study together. Let's get together and review questions and figure out why we're answering questions this way versus another way. And, like people were open to it, but nothing really came of it. And that was, I think that was a hard point for me because you do feel like you're kind of almost alone. Like,
right.
But there is a community. Like there are people that are going through this and struggling through it and working through the problems and trying to understand, the situation. So it's better to have people, coming alongside of you and going, all right, I get why you're struggling with that. Let me tell you how I understand it. Right. And that's even helped with a couple. I actually met another student through your program a few weeks ago. We've actually been doing our own study sessions together.
Oh, that's cool.
And probably between 1 to 3 hours on Sunday, we're usually studying. Yeah. And even though I passed, I told him, I was like, I'm going to be there with you until you pass yours. So don't worry. I'm not dropping you as soon as I get my PMP.
That's cool.
So I'm still meeting with him this upcoming weekend, but it was nice to be able to have that ability because I was able to explain some things about procurement that he was just kind of like, I don't get it, or it's not clicking. And so I explained this is my thought process. This is what I go through when I'm thinking of procurement questions, when I'm going through those the IDOs. This is where I'm at, and this is why I'm there. And he was able to explain some of the agile stuff that I was kind of struggling with. So it made for, where I was weak, he was stronger, and where he was kind of weaker, I was stronger. And so we collaborated, and that just really helped a lot.
Yeah, I love that, man. I really like that. And the thing that's really cool is I think about the normal class, like if we think about the communication models, if you will, like when they talk about that one that's just like one directional thing, like if you're in a class and you're teaching, it seems to get into one. Sure, you can maybe raise your hand and ask a question or whatever, but you get lulled into this thing where it's just like one-way communication, and then boom, it drops off the plateau and you're like done. And with us, like hell, you're in the accelerator now, whether you knew it or not. You're like actual have a video in there. Like we have students.
Saw that actually. I was like, that's me.
That's you, like in the accelerator. Yeah. Like when we filmed that thing about like how you use the evaporating data dump, like you're in there, like students are in there teaching and giving perspective so that like, even if they're going through the e-course part, they feel like it's not just like a normal class. It's like, I'm talking to people, I'm meeting Rachel, I had Kait, I got these other people, I'm seeing Kristen, there's some guys in there, Andrew, like, it's not just all women, like, and so you're feeling like that. And then also, I started thinking about the Zoom calls that we do. And I know that like it's faces, two faces next to each other, but the way it feels with the Zoom calls that we do, the big ones to go through questions, and I sit in on some of y'all's calls, the little calls, just to check in and see how it's going. But I want to get in the way. It really feels to me like it's a round table of like people all looking at each other like in equality, like, and talking back and forth. It's not like teacher student. It's like everybody's in this game together. And I was like, damn, I really like that it's happening that way. So
yeah, I really do too. I mean, it really made a difference on those questions, because when I started attending the individual, like the calls with just a smaller group, usually it would just be 3 of us and Kelly on the call, and we would just be going one question after another, and we would pick our answer and we would explain why. Like, we were going through those rationales that you've taught us to do, where what can you get rid of right now? Why are you getting rid of them? Yeah. And one question I had last night, actually, funny enough, it had come up in your call like 2 weeks before, and I was like, oh, I remember this, and I remember why I went with a different answer as opposed to the one that looked like it would be the reason. And I said, Kelly, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to tell you why I'm not picking these two. I'm going to tell you there's a reason for the one. I'm going to tell you which one I'm going to pick, and then I'm going to tell you the reason I'm not picking the other one. And she was like, okay. So I did that, and then I said, so here's one thing that I have noticed about PMI. They don't like specific words like comply. And everybody was like, oh yeah. Yeah. And I was like, that's one thing that I like have really seen a lot of in your simulated questions. I mean, there's so many questions out there that you have, and I have seen those pinpointed words that when you pick them, they're usually wrong, and there's a reason why. And so when I started going through them and thinking about it, I was like, okay, comply is not a good word in PMI standards.
But I mean, like, yeah, and you know why? And I love what you said about, to go back to, you didn't just say, oh, I know this question, yay, I get it right, high five, it's B. No, you took like the intellectual honesty and like the depth to say, I got it right the first time, or maybe you didn't. And then now I can go so deep that I can tell you why it's right on multiple levels. I can tell you why the ones are wrong that are wrong. And I can tell you what would make the right one, or the wrong one's right and the right one's wrong. Like, when you get there, the game's over. Like, you've gotten it. Like, it's, you can teach, you jump the test and just teach. Like, it's over. And so that's how you know, I think. And so, when I start to see that in people like you, it's like, boom, they got it. And so having that environment that incites that out of you or brings that out is what we're going for. So, so that's cool. Now, what are you going to do with your spare time? You got a little bit of spare time now that you don't have to study. What are you going to do?
Oh goodness, I'm going to read a lot.
Okay.
I actually really enjoy reading, and my master's class is my last semester and a half. I have to go before I graduate. Doesn't start till end of August, so I'm going to spend some time just reading whatever I want, just not like even like having to worry about school or studying or anything
else. That sounds really, really great, Kait. Well, I'm really, really proud of how you did. I'm sure there's a person out there that's a lot like you, that's like younger professional, really smart, competent at their job, went through a boot camp, didn't serve them that well. You know, they know they can do it, but they just don't know exactly how to do it. Maybe they're like you, where they were like a little just caught up, or like, I'm stuck at this level and I just don't know how to break through it. And so if they say, damn, Kait's a lot like me, you've been through it and you were successful. What would you say to those people right now?
Don't give up. You really do have it. Gain some more confidence. There's a lot of resources out there, and I'm going to be honest, I would direct them right to you and your podcast and looking into your program, because it really was like the turning point for me.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad we were able to help you. I know that you guys are going to do a little celebration, so I'm on board. And maybe you've already started to celebrate. I don't even know. maybe a little bit, and I'm on board. All right, Kait. Well, it's been great. Stay in touch, and if you want to coach and teach and stuff like that, let me know. But yeah, let's stay in touch. We're going to add more agile stuff. We're going to add more like PDU stuff. So we'll keep you informed on that. And it's just been really fun working with you, and you did so well, and like you set a good pace for everybody else in the class. So we appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Sky. I really appreciate it.
Right on.